My dear students, today I'll be just going with your first chapter, that is current electricity. Now we all know that current electricity is that very thing without which our modern life is just shattered. But what it is actually, and perhaps some of you also know that this is happening, this is created due to the moving charges. Yes, as because the charges are moving through a conductor, that is why we are getting electricity. Now where from the charge is coming, as because in your class 9 you have already done the atomic structure, and we all know that from the Rutherford's atomic model, that the structure of the atom is like a solar system. At the middle there is one positively charged nucleus, and negatively charged electrons are rotating in several specific shells around the nucleus. Now electrons are negatively charged and the same number of positively charged are also there in the nucleus, and that is why the atoms are neutral. Now just I have told that the current is produced due to the flow of charge through a conductor. Now the question comes, what kind of charge is flowing through the conductor? So obviously we may be thinking that it is positively charged, but actually it is not positively charged, because we all know that positively charges are fixed at the nucleus because they cannot move, but the electrons are rotating in different orbits, so the electrons are movable and they can only get themselves conducted through the conductor, and as because the electrons are flowing through the conductor, the current electricity produced. Now on the basis of conduction, all the materials may be divided into three categories, and for your stage you mostly know there are two categories, that is, one is conductor which can conduct electricity, and one is non-conductor. And if I am just asking, give me some examples of conductors, so I think all of you know that all the bearings are made of copper, silver is also a conductor, aluminium is also a conductor, and for non-conductor obviously there is wood, there is paper, this kind of things they do not conduct electricity. But besides these two, there is one more type of thing is also there, that is semiconductor, but you don't have to deal with in your class 10. This is a specific thing which is used as conductor at higher temperature. At very lower temperature they are behaving as non-conductor, but when the temperature is bit high they are used as conductor. So on the basis of conduction, all the materials may be categorized into three types. One is conductor, one is non-conductor, that is insulated, and the third one is semiconductor. Now the question comes, why a conductor is conductor? Now obviously there must be some specification, or there must be some quality in a conductor, that is why it can conduct electricity. And now what it is? It is, the reason is, if the question is asked, you will be answering like, yes, the conductor is a conductor as because it is having free electrons. Now the question comes, what is a free electron? Now we all know that all the materials are made of atoms. Now how the atom looks like, suppose this is the periphery of the atom. Okay, now if we are just taking one conductor chunk, suppose we are taking a chunk of copper, so in a copper chunk all the atoms are very closely packed. So this is one atom, suppose this is one atom, so these are just very tightly placed, that is their outer circle, their outer shell is overlapping each other. These two are not the only one, only two, these two are not the only atoms. So obviously there is one, there is one, there is one, there is one, all are very much closely packed and they are attached to each other. So we can say their outer shells are also overlapping each other. Now if the electrons are capable of moving from one shell to another in that way, suppose this is the outer periphery, now the electron is rotating like that, now here from it rotates like this, for the next, now it rotates like this, now it rotates like this. If it happens that from one shell to another shell it can move very easily, these electrons are known as free electrons. But in case of non-conductors, they are not having this kind of electrons, they are freely movable from one shell to another shell of another atom. Now due to the position of these electrons, that is free electrons, the conductors are conductors, and as because this type of electrons are not having the insulators, so they are not capable of conduction. So how current is produced? It is produced due to the flow of negatively charged particle, that is electron. So we should know the unit of charge also, that is coulomb, and coulomb And what is the unit of current flowing? That is having the unit ampere. And ammeter is that very device by which we can measure the current through a conductor. Now, when a current is flowing through a conductor, it is having some opposition from inside. Now, suppose we are just passing by a road and it is having some obstructions and obstacles. So, obviously that would resist our motion. So, the same thing is happening for the electrons also when it is flowing through a conductor. The opposition that is given by the conductor itself to the electrons known as resistance. Got it? That is, when the electron is flowing through a conductor, due to the lattice structure of the conductor inside, the electrons are opposed, and this opposition is given by the conductor itself, and it is known as resistance. Now, on which things the resistance of a conductor is depending on? Now, suppose we are just walking by a road and it is full of hurdles. Now, it is very clear that when we are just going for a long distance with those very hurdles, so the opposition will be much more. So, in the same thing is happening with the electron also. That is, if the length of the conductor is getting more, then the opposition, that is resistance, is also getting more. And suppose we are just thinking of another thing. That is, suppose we are just going for a water pipe. The water is flowing through the pipe, and if the cross section of the pipe is shrinking, suppose it was initially the cross section was quite wider, and now the cross section is shrinking, that is different pipe we are using. So don't you think there will be difficulty for the flow of water? So the same thing has happened for the electrons also. That is, when the conductors are having lower cross section, that is less cross section area. And what is cross section area? Do you know what is cross section area? That is, if we are just going for a three-dimensional body. Suppose we are just going for a three-dimensional body. Just a minute. Suppose we are just going for a pipe-like thing. Suppose this is the length, and this area is known as cross section area. Is that clear? This is cross section area. So when we are just going for a pipe of this length, okay, a pipe of this length and this cross section area. So then, and if I want to increase the length, suppose another pipe I am adding, okay, now what is the thing? The total length is doubled. So obviously the opposition is also getting doubled. Understand? But now suppose we are just using the same pipe, but we are making the cross section area, that is the total area of this side. Suppose we are making that is very less. Suppose we are making the cross section area half. So what will be happening then? Then the resistance will be more. Got it? So it increases with the length but decreases with the cross section. So when it is increasing with the increase of length, what we can say? We can say resistance is directly proportional to length. And if it is decreasing with the cross sectional area, then what we can say? We can say the resistance is inversely proportional to the cross sectional area. Is that clear? So resistance is depending on mainly two things. One is length, one is cross sectional area. Resistance is directly proportional to length and inversely proportional to the cross sectional area. One more thing I have to discuss, that just before I have told that if one object or if one more material is having free electrons, then it is capable to flow current through it. So free electrons, that is those free electrons which are capable to move on the surface of the material from one shell to another shell of another atom. So it is not confined to a specific atom, and these very electrons are known as thermal electrons. What it is? These electrons are known as thermal electrons. Now the question may be coming, so these electrons, how they can be channelized through a specific wire so that we can have current? Now you see, to move anything we have to give a thrust to that very body. Suppose one object is static on the floor and I want to move it, so obviously I have to give the thrust. So to make the flow of the electron, we should do something. We should initiate those very electrons so that it can flow. Now what it is? we will be applying a potential difference in the circuit. Now that this is a very new term, what is a potential difference? But we all know a battery, we all know a cell. Now we all know that to make a current through the conductor, suppose a very small type of circuit you are making, and there to make the current, suppose you want to light a bulb. So what type of thing you will be adding? You will be adding one battery, obviously. Now why we are adding battery? We are adding the battery to initiate the electrons to flow. Now how it is working? Now suppose I am giving you a very common example. Suppose we are using two tubes, two cylinders. Suppose one cylinder is of this height and it is filled by water, and one cylinder of this height, this is not, the water level here is this way, and there the water level is this way. For the first cylinder, the water level is this way, and for the second cylinder, water level is this way. And what we are doing, we are just joining both the cylinders from the base through a pipe. Okay, now we are using a stopcock in between. Now when the stopcock is there, that means it is, if it is not open, so the water level should be maintained like this. But if the stopcock is open, then what would happen? You know better that the water level will be coming down here and it will be increasing. How long it would happen? It would happen till the levels are same. And when both the levels are same, then there will be no flow of water anymore. So this thing is happening for a cell. That is, we all know that if you break a battery, if you break a cell, have you ever broken? Now if you have not broken yet, you break a cell, and you will be seeing that there is some dust type of thing, and there is a rod, and there is the outer wall is also made of metal. Now why all these things are there? This is happening, and that dust and that rod and that outer covering all are made of specific things. It is not that we are using any of the things and it will be acting like battery. Now why it is happening? It is used for the reason that chemical reaction is taking place in, and due to the chemical reaction, positive charges are accumulated somewhere and negative charges are accumulated somewhere. Because I think you have done already electrolysis, and there also you have learned that anodes and cathodes are there. Positive charges are attracted by cathodes and negative charges are attracted by anodes, and there is also charge accumulation. And in case of cell, I don't know whether you have seen, there is a rod inside, that is the cross-sectional area. There is a pin-like thing that is bit up, and it is positive written. That is one positive sign is there. That is due to the chemical reaction, positive charges are accumulated there. And the base of the battery, this is also a metal sheet, and it is known as negative end. That is, the negative charges are accumulated here. So when positive and negative charges are just connected by a conductor, then what would happen? Negative charges would always be liking to move through the positive, towards the positive charge. Okay, because there is deficiency of negative charge, and here is excess of negative charge, because this is positively charged tip and this is negatively charged base. Now due to this flow of electron in the outer circuit, we are getting electricity. So if we add one ammeter, what is ammeter? Just I have told that this is an apparatus by which we can measure current. So if one ammeter is over connected there, then also we can see that it is deflecting. So current is flowing through the circuit. As I have told, R is proportional to L. That is, if L is increasing, R would also be increasing. And R is inversely proportional to A. That is, if A is increasing, R will be decreasing. So as a whole, we can write R proportional to L by A, or R equals, that is, from proportionality I have come to equality. So one constant should be coming, R equals rho into L by A, and this constant is known as resistivity. Now if I am asking what is the unit of resistivity, to how to get, now what I will be just putting, instead of R I will be putting ohm. As we know that ohm is the resistance of unit of resistance. Rho and L means meter and A means meter square, because this is area and this is length. So if I am just putting all this, and rho is only there because I have to get for rho, so meter square, so 1 meter is cancelled over here, so rho will be ohm meter. So what is the unit of rho? This is ohm meter. Now one more thing, if I'm just asking what is rho, so your answer will be resistivity, but that is not the exact definition. So to get the definition, what to do? If we are considering a chunk of unit length and unit cross sectional area, that is, suppose this is the chunk and suppose this is the length. Suppose the length is 1 meter or 1 centimeter, let that to be 1 meter, and let the cross sectional area, that is this cross sectional area, be 1 meter square. If the length is 1 meter and the cross sectional area is 1 meter square, in that case what will be the resistance of this? Obviously I can have, and that is the resistivity of that very material. That is, if I am saying that resistivity of copper is X, what does it mean? It means resistivity of copper is X ohm meter. That means that if we are just getting a copper chunk of length 1 meter and cross sectional area 1 meter square, that would provide a resistance of X ohm meter. And instead, if we are saying the resistivity of copper is X ohm centimeter, what does it mean? It means if I am taking a chunk of copper of unit 1 centimeter of length and 1 centimeter square of cross sectional area, then it would provide me a resistance of X ohm. Got it? So ohm centimeter and ohm meter, it means this. So this is the definition of resistivity. So what is the definition coming? If we are taking a chunk of a metal of unit length and unit cross sectional area, the resistance provided by it is known as resistivity. Now there is one problem. Two wires of same material having length in the ratio 1:2 and cross sectional area 2:3, that is suppose two wires I am taking. Okay, this is one wire, this is one wire, and this is one wire. This wire is having length and this wire is also having length. The second one is having the length twice than the first one. Okay, and suppose the cross sectional area, that is this area, is also 2:3, that is this is bit less and this is bit more. Two wires, the length is 1:2 and the cross sectional area is in the ratio 2:3. Now if you are asked what is the ratio of their resistances, then how to solve this? The lengths are given in the ratio, the cross sectional areas are also given in the ratio. We have to get the resistance in the ratio, and it is in the same material. Same material means rho will not be changed. Rho is same for the same material. Suppose if we are just going for copper, it will be different from aluminium. But if we are just going for all the copper wires, so rho will not be changed. So here also material is same. So how to solve it? Now what I will be doing, R1 is rho into L1 by A1, because this is the basic formula. R equals rho into L by A. So instead of L and A, I have written L1 and A1 because this is specified for first resistance and this is specified for the second resistance, R2 equals rho into L2 by A2. Now the ratio is given, so let us consider L1 to be L, so L2 obviously will be 2L because the ratio I have to maintain 1:2, and here A1 is 2A, so A2 will also be 3A because we have to maintain the ratio 2:3. Now simply we will be putting this R1 equals rho into L, that is this L, divided by this 2A, L by 2A, and for R2 rho into this length, that is instead of L2 I will be putting that 2L and instead of A2 I will be putting that 3A. So you see 2L by 3A. So now AA would be cancelled, LL would be cancelled, and rho would be cancelled, only 3 by 2 is there. So the ratio is 3 by 2, that is 3:2. So whatever I have done in this class, you just go for the